Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's jump straight into it. There is literally breaking news as I'm sitting down recording this video. So I'm going to start with that coming out. So the first story is regarding X6. So X6 exits. Marcus Rashford, Antony, Alejandro Garnacho, Tyrell Malacia, and Jadon Sancho have all told Manchester United they want to leave. The club has pushed back their return date to later in July to give time to explore possible solutions. So that's came from Fabrizio Romano. That has also been confirmed and corroborated by Laurie Whitwell, who has said that Manchester United say Rashford, Antony, Garnacho, Sancho, Malacia have told the club they wish to explore a future away. So their return date is being delayed until later in July. Cunha will be given the number 10 shirt. Rashford's reps were informed in advance, and that's been also confirmed by Fabrizio Romano that Matheus Cunha will wear the number 10 shirt at Manchester United. So if there is ever a sign that a player is going to leave, it is giving them their squad number. And this came after there's been loads of stories, which I'll bring you up to date with anyway, regarding Marcus Rashford. It felt like there was a brief earlier around potentially him coming back and he's going to give 100% in training and all this stuff, which felt like it came from it did come from Marcus Rashford's side because it says it in the reports. But that's really exciting news that those 5 players, so 5 transfer requests effectively by going back to the report, Rashford, Antony, Garnacho, Tyrell Malacia, and Jadon Sancho have all told Manchester United they want to leave. I think they've all been told themselves to jog on and find new clubs. We know Garnacho definitely have. Ruben Amorim effectively told him to fuck off. We know that he fell out with Rashford. Antony, we know we want to go anyway. I mean, it's not exactly breaking news or surprising. They are the names that we are heavily linked with leaving. We know we're in talks. Some are in advanced talks as well with exits, but the exciting thing is that if the players are handing in or have come out and said that they want to leave and we're giving them time to sort out their exits, then that's a positive for me, because that means that, you know, they've got to sort out their own situations. Like for some of these players to go, you know, Garnacho needs to be realistic about where he wants to play, you know, and stuff like that. Marcus needs to reduce his asking price. Antony is willing to do that. It's just difficult to do with Betis because Betis don't have the money for Antony, which is difficult to do. Sancho, again, wages. Malacia, who knows? It doesn't really make too much difference for me, Malacia, but that's really interesting to see that, you know, effectively they've handed in a transfer request. Give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. And then also give us your thoughts on what you think about Cunha getting the number 10. That was widely documented, though, when we signed him, that the reports were that he would be getting Rashford's 10 shirt. But you know, now to have it kind of confirmed, I think that's massively exciting as well. And if ever there's a tell that a player's going to be going, then, you know, it's giving him a squad number, especially a one like the number 10 shirt as well. So let's go through the Rashford update. So Marcus Rashford is Barcelona's plan B behind Luis Diaz. He has already told Barca that he would lower his salary to fulfill his dream of becoming a Barca player. Now, this news has come out after the fact. You might have already seen this, but Nico Williams is now staying at Atletico. His deal to Barcelona has fallen through. The reason that's key for Marcus is because Marcus Rashford wants to go to Barcelona, but the reports have always been, will they still make a move for him if they're getting Nico Williams? The expectation was that maybe they would, but it would be a loan with maybe an option to buy, as a way around it because they wanted to get Nico Williams done. Now that deal's fallen through. The reports earlier today were that maybe they would go for Marcus Rashford now, but apparently, according to this outlet, this is a Spanish journalist that's quite close to Barcelona as well, saying no, that actually Luis Diaz is Barcelona's plan B and pushing Marcus Rashford down to effectively plan C, or he might be still being lined up even if they go for Diaz. But Romano's confirmed the same story as well, saying that Barcelona are considering a new move for Luis Diaz in the coming days. Meanwhile, Marcus Rashford remains interested in joining Barcelona. And then Marcus Rashford is expecting to play a full part in Manchester United's pre-season programme when he reports to Carrington for training on Monday morning. United must decide whether Rashford can reintegrate into the squad, otherwise they will have to sell him or agree another loan move, both of which would require the player's consent. Sources close to Rashford say that he has no issue returning to the club and will give 100% in training. That will be nice. The 27-year-old expects to be fully involved in the club's pre-season schedule for as long as he remains a United player, despite the uncertainty over his future. Now, that story came out earlier today from Chris Wheeler, before the news is just broken by Laurie Whitwell and Fabrizio Romano effectively saying, no, these players have been given an extended time in July to sort out their exits. And the quicker we can get some deals done on exits, the better it is for us, because we are relying on exits for the rest of the transfer window once and if and when and maybe we get the Bryan Mbeumo deal over the line. Jamie Jackson said that Marcus Rashford is ready to train with a maximum intensity. Thanks. That's where's that been beforehand? Thanks, Marcus, for coming back and training with maximum intensity. Paul Hurst said that Marcus Rashford is expected to leave despite returning for pre-season training. There has been no contact between Ruben Amorim and Rashford since his loan to Villa. That's really I don't want to say it's not surprising, it's not breaking news. We know these are players that we've been looking to leave anyway, but the fact that effectively it's come out saying that they've requested to not come back to training because they want to sort out their futures and their careers and their moves, I think is a positive, because hopefully then we can get some movement on those exits, because that's what we need. We need to, see some movement. We need to see some players out of the door in order to move on for the rest of the transfer window, because we are heavily reliant now on player exits in order to get money in order to get the rest of the transfer window moving once we get, hopefully, the Bryan Mbeumo deal over the line. So, and that leads me nicely into the latest regarding Bryan Mbeumo. So Ben Jacobs said that both parties are still working on the deal for Bryan Mbeumo, with the finer details being discussed. Manchester United will continue to be disciplined, and it will be surprising if they go up to £70 million, but the rejected second bid was not a dismissal. Mbeumo still wants United in the club, are optimistic there could still be confirmation of the deal this week. Well, it's Friday afternoon at 10 to 4 at the time of recording this video, because that news has just come out, so I've had to redo the video, which is the way that it is at the moment. Every time I seem to do a video, something happens at the end of it that I want to bring in. But yeah, it is what it is, like regarding the Mbeumo situation. But Friday afternoon, no movement, no bids, nothing going on at the time of recording. Obviously, that could change at any moment, but we've been hearing that for weeks. We've been hearing, deal done, medical this week, no deal done, deal rejected, deal closed, third bid's coming today, third bid's not arrived today. We just have to wait and see what happens. Now, interestingly, though, Ben Jacobs did say that the reality is £62.5 million has always been a number they'd accept, but it was £62.5 million, not £55 million in gambling on add-ons. So I said in yesterday's video, and we were having a chat, some of us in the comments last night, regarding the Mbeumo deal, and I did say that if it's Brentford moving the goalposts all the time, then obviously it's their fault, or they're to blame for the reason this deal hasn't moved for any further forward. Or is it United undercutting, undervaluing and underbidding Brentford, in which case it's our fault? Going off of what Ben Jacobs said there, it's our fault, because if they've always maintained it's £62.5 million in cash or achievable add-ons, then, and we're still underbidding and saying, well, we'll give you 55 plus a couple of million in add-ons, and those add-ons are unachievable, Brentford are well within their rights to refuse that deal. So that is our fault by the sounds of things, that it's United's fault that this deal is not going any quicker, because we are not matching Brentford's expectations or their asking price for Mbeumo, which I know we have to do as a football club, because we do need to claw our reputation back, because we do have a reputation of overpaying for players or bending over and getting our asses spanked by teams whenever it comes to transfers and stuff. But I don't, £62.5 million bad deal for Mbeumo anyway. Fair enough, like last season when we bid 50 and then 55 for Brantthwaite, and Everton were asking for 70 and 80 million pounds. That's ridiculous. Walk away, wipe your hands with it, and say, "Yep, thank you very much. No, thanks. We'll move on." But I don't think Brentford are being unrealistic with 62.5 million pounds. So it's really annoying me, the deal that it's dragging on so long, and we're haggling over like a couple of £1 million in relation to the add-ons. So, but hopefully we're just going to need to wait and see. But that deadline of Monday, which I'm starting to think that, is absolute waffle anyway, because that's always come from the media and fans and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Saying, because Amrin wants to get players in before pre-season. So I think it's an artificial deadline anyway. I genuinely don't think anyone at United gives a shit whether we get Mbeumo done this week, next week, or the week after, as long as they get him for the right price. I think the main thing for them is the price. They don't want to be seen to be overpaying, and they want to maintain financial discipline. That's what's coming out of United. So, but we'll have to wait and see. We could get a here we go this after. They might even be one while I'm waffling on about Mbeumo. Let me check. No, but yeah, we'll see how it is. We'll wait and see what happens. Now, Manchester United are edging closer to signing Bryan Mbeumo and what would be the club's second big transfer of the summer. A compromise appears to be in sight now after Brentford rejecting 2 offers from United for the Cameroon international, one of 45 plus 10, 55 plus 7.5 million add-ons. So according to Chris Wheeler and Nave Salt, the deal is edging closer. And the the Standard Sport, who are good when it comes to Brentford news, saying that Brentford is holding out for £63 million for Bryan Mbeumo. If Man United doesn't meet their price, he'll join Brentford's pre-season training on Monday. So we are where we are. It is what it is. There's no real significant updates at the time of recording this video regarding Bryan Mbeumo. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully we can get something done over the weekend, because it would be nice to get him in for Monday, but I don't necessarily think people at the club are bothered about that above Amrim. I think Amrim wants the players in as soon as possible. We do as fans, because we know the importance of getting players in the door early for them, to give them the best chance to succeed at United as well, but also to give Amrim the best chance to succeed as well. But it just seems like United and the people above him don't really give a shit about that. They just want to pay what they just want to maintain financial discipline, which is frustrating, but we are where we are. Give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Now, Ben Jacobs also said that Manchester United's focus is on Bryan Mbeumo right now, and then attention will shift to outgoings, which will be followed by shortlisting strikers. United like Ollie Watkins and are inquiring about the base details. So Ben Jacobs suggesting that once we get Mbeumo done, the attention will be going on outgoings. That's why exits are key. That's what we just mentioned at the start of the video regarding the exits. Can't speak today. And then after that, it looks like they are going to be going for a striker, and Ollie Watkins is a name that's being mentioned. Another journalist that has confirmed that United have made inquiries regarding Ollie Watkins, so that's a name to potentially keep an eye on for the striker situation. Another name to keep an eye on as an incoming target would be John Victor. So Manchester United have had a look at John Victor at Botafogo, and it seems unlikely the 29-year-old Brazilian would come in as first choice. Altay Bayindir is still in situ as Onana's number 2, and veteran Tom Heaton has signed a new one-year contract to provide additional backup. So Nafso Chris Wheeler suggesting that United have had a look at John Victor, and that he would unlikely be coming in as a first choice, but would be maybe Bayindir's replacement. So if we sell Bayindir, maybe John Victor becomes the goalkeeper target that we bring in as a backup to Onana. I would suggest that maybe he would be, very good competition for Onana, but I'm not entirely clued up when it comes to John Victor. I've not watched that many games. It's a goalkeeper. I don't really watch goalkeeper highlights and stuff as well. You can tell me in the comments what you think about him. I remember doing some research on him before, though, before we signed Onana, actually, and I remember thinking that he looked a good goalkeeper at that time. Some would argue to say he's better than Onana, so I would be all for this, bringing John Victor in, especially at this price as well. So South American outlet and journalists are saying that Manchester United have made an inquiry about John Victor after some meetings. United should formalise an official proposal to the player. John Victor has a release clause of £5.8 million, so £5.8 million for John Victor as a Bayindir replacement, for somebody to come in and compete with Onana and potentially take over from Onana, because I think he's a good goalkeeper. I'd be all for that. That seems like a good deal for me. Whether it would be viable or not, we'll have to wait and see. But because the belief is like Onana's, it doesn't look like he's going anywhere at the moment. There's no interest, there's no links, no bids, there's no talks, nothing like that for Andre Onana. So the feeling is that he's going to stay. The best we can do is get a number two removed by Inda, getting a good number two that can actually compete with Onana and potentially take over him anyway if he starts making the mistakes that we all know that he's potentially going to make next season anyway, because Leopards don't change their spots. And yeah, I think that would be a valid shout for me personally. But give us your thoughts and feelings regarding John Victor in the comments below, because I will be interested to hear what you've got to say regarding that that situation. So literally just having some breaking news at the time of recording this video regarding Marcus Rashford, from Fabrizio Romano, saying Marcus Rashford, Manchester United and Marcus Rashford, it's over. I don't know. Hardly breaking news. We knew that anyway, but United also confirmed Rashford representatives were informed that Matheus Cunha would be taking the number 10 shirt. It's definitely over between United and Rashford. Rashford dreams a Barcelona move as priority for his future. So Romano confirming Marcus Rashford is not coming back. So he needs to, find himself a club, find himself a move as well. And obviously we did say earlier at the start, no better tell than United giving your shirt number to somebody else. There's a little bit of a hint, isn't it? Oh yeah, by the way, when you come back in training, you're not getting the number 10 shirt anymore. Like, that's a bit of a tell. So that's really interesting to say. It's definitely over. So that means that Marcus is definitely going to be going. Hopefully on a permanent, though. That's the awkwardness around the deal, isn't it? Because if it's a loan it's got to be a loan with an obligation to buy, which is effectively like at the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, we just get some money and all move on with our lives as well. But that's really interesting. Yeah, really interesting for coming out from Romano literally as I'm recording this video, saying that it's over between Rashford and Man United. Let's go through the rest of the transfer news. So Manchester United have made an inquiry. Same story. So after Christian Eriksen left United as a free agent, Amram is in the market for another central midfielder to play alongside Fernandes, Casemiro and Manuel Ugarte. So that came from Chris Wheeler, who's another good source, confirming that United will potentially be in for a midfielder this transfer window. Remember, Laurie Whitwell's also been saying that we want an athletic midfielder. I think David Ornstein has said the same as well. So midfield could be one that we turn our attention to as well. Now, one player that we've been linked with recently regarding the midfield is Ndidi. So Manchester United and Everton are in talks over a £5 million deal for Wilfred Ndidi. Now, that came from Ben Jacobs, who has been fairly decent this transfer window. A little bit hit and miss, but to his credit, it's been spot on with a few things this transfer window, and has linked us with Wilfred Ndidi before. The belief is he had a €9 million relegation release clause in his contract, so if we're in negotiation, £5 million for Ndidi as a backup or a rotation option to bring in, not the worst idea that I've heard of. Remember, ticks the boxes of being Premier League proven, which is what we're mainly going for this transfer window, not exactly a massive expense to United as well. Would be an opportunity. I could kind of see that going through. It wouldn't be my preferred choice, but we are where we are. We don't have the sort of money to be going out and getting like an Adam Wharton or a Belieber or a midfielder of that ilk. And with Casemiro staying or likely to stay, doesn't give us the wiggle room from PSR and stuff as well. So actually getting someone like Ndidi on the cheap as a stopgap signing, not the worst idea that I've heard of. Not one I'm going to jump up and down with, though, if we do get him done, but not against it as such. I'm not really excited about it, though. It is what it is. The more the other midfielder, though, that we are actually heavily linked with is Douglas Luiz. So Juventus have proposed a swap to Manchester United. Jadon Sancho to Juventus, Douglas Luiz to Manchester United. Sancho has only Juventus in his mind and is willing to take a pay cut. Now, that came from Corella della Sport, so suggesting that Juventus have made a proposal of a swap deal for Sancho and Luiz. Yeah, no swap deals don't happen. It's an exchange. We buy Luiz, they buy Sancho. Maybe that helps them facilitate the move for Sancho to pay him a little bit more, maybe as a bonus, or like in something to do with his salary, or maybe it helps us get some money in it to pay Sancho off so he can leave and take that pay cut that he needs to take in order to get his move to Juventus. Interesting that there's another Italian outlet saying that he is willing to take a pay cut, which is positive. Tuto Sport was saying that Jadon Sancho wants to go to Juventus, but there is still details to discuss, but everyone involved wants to close the deal as quickly as possible. And obviously now we know that we've got the exits and they've effectively been given a bit of time to sort out their exits. Hopefully we can get some movement on exits in the next couple of weeks because that helps us out for the rest of the transfer window. Chris Wheeler, though, still said that Juventus are unlikely to cover even half of Jadon Sancho's £275,000 a week salary. Juventus's position has not changed. They cannot cover Jadon Sancho's full salary, and there is no change in salary expectations. So if there is no change in salary expectations, it will be difficult. So the biggest stumbling block with Sancho to Juventus is the wage demands. By all accounts, though, the reports are that he has chosen, or his preference is to go to Juventus, which might then means if he's made his mind up, he would be willing to do something with his salary, whether that involves us having to take Luiz as part to facilitate that exit. I'm not entirely, like, I would do it. It wouldn't be my preferred option, though. A straight sale is what I want with Jadon Sancho, but, you know, what you want, you don't get sometimes. And if it meant that we had to do like some sort of deal with Luiz, then it is what it is. I would do that if it meant removing Sancho, because removing Sancho, I think, is way more important for the club in terms of wage and money in and PSR and all of that stuff as well. But give us your shouts on that in the comments below, as I am sure that you will. And then the final story is exit. Is Hojlund. So Manchester United believe Hojlund is more likely to leave than stay, and are targeting a new number 9 after Mbeumo. That came from Ben Jacobs. So again, another Laurie Whitworth said the same thing yesterday, that Hojlund is now more likely to leave than stay, which is, you know, encouraging. And then remember the reports the other day were saying that United want a permanent exit, but are actually willing to take a PSR loss on Hojlund as well, if it means getting the cash in, because getting the money in is more important than, because we've got wiggle room from a PSR perspective. We don't have money, so getting the money in actually more important for United than necessarily the PSR perspective, which is really interesting. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Chris Wheeler said that Manchester United are listening to offers for Rasmus Hojlund, but most of the inquiries for him have so far been over loan moves. There is concrete interest from Inter Milan, which may develop into a permanent transfer or a loan with an obligation to buy. United want a permanent sale because they want the money. We need cash. The problem we've got this transfer is we don't have money. We've got wiggle room from people. We can spend money from PSR, but we just don't have the money to spend. So even if we do take a little bit of a PSR loss, I think they would be happy to do that with Hojlund going off of the recent reports, because that loss could potentially be subsidised by, you know, Elanga maybe going to Newcastle, where we've got a 15 to 20% sell-on clause. It's going to get us anywhere between £5 to £8 million going off of reports. So the same with Alvaro going to Real Madrid as well. We're going to get potentially some cash. So that could give us some wiggle room from PSR to maybe take a few losses on players like this if we weren't expecting that money to come in, and use it as a bit of a bonus, but who knows. And then Rasmus Hojlund has verbally agreed to personal terms with Inter Milan and is pushing for the move. Negotiations between clubs is still in early stages, so we'll have to wait and see how the Hojlund situation plays out. But the reports, there's no smoke without fire. Romano, everyone like that has said that Inter Milan are interested in Rasmus Hojlund, and then going off of those reports as well, potentially there might be some movement there as well, especially if we go for a striker. Then that's really, really interesting. So I'm just going to pause and see if there's any more breaking news before I wrap the video up. But give us your thoughts on on Hojlund in the comments as well. I wonder if we're getting all this news around exits and stuff like that as well, because Ruben Amorim was back at Carrington today for the first time. I saw the photos and videos of him arriving at Carrington. So I wonder if we've had, he's had a meeting with everybody there and they're ready to push ahead now, the rest of their plans. And there's been something that's happened behind the scenes as well, now that Amorim's officially back, where something's kind of gone on or been said. I don't think it's coincidental that we've not really had much news over the last couple of weeks. Little snippets here and there, and then, all of a sudden Amorim's back today. Cunha's got the number 10. All of a sudden all these players are handing transfer requests and given extended times to come back. I don't necessarily think that's a coincidence, but, could be something. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.